Jack Nicholls, and welcome to
He's going to break Hastings' world title.
Oh, he's done it! And look at these two go! He's going to do it! His first victory!
The World Championship is done.
What a race it's been!
Good evening! Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and variations thereupon, and welcome back to the FSR Road to FSR Winter Series for 2026, the third and final round of the championship here at Donington Park. My name is Edward Hunter. Alongside me is my co-commentator Layla Petraglia, and our broadcast director Amir Oates is going to keep a good eye on all of the action going on today at this legendary circuit in Cheshire, England, United Kingdom, of course. So it's been an interesting opening couple of rounds, of course, in this winter series. The opening round dominated by Alex Laho. The second round dominated, as it turns out, by Mark Schluter, with Janos Braxak also getting a couple of podiums as well. Mark Schluter now leads the championship. As you can see, 56 points to his name. Janos Braxak is closest competitor on 43 points, 13 behind. So it would need to be quite a swing for the Winter Series championship to change hands here in the final round. But it could happen, especially with two races rather than just the one. Behind them, we have got Super Sweet Dano Bramfom on 36 points. So he is 20 points off the lead, still in mathematical contention. Alex Laho, we don't know if he's going to be competing tonight, but he is on 35 points, having not shown up since the first round. Ruben van den Hudding is on 29 points. I believe he is also still just about in mathematical contention. Anybody more than about 35 points behind Mark Schluter is essentially out of it. So that'd be sort of 21 points upwards then. So Van den Hudding is still in. Amin Sweezy from Cellspot is in P6. He's on 25 points. Loic Moynier, P7. I don't think he has the DLC tracks, so he is on 23. And then Ruben Machete, he is definitely out of contention on 20 points after a lot of bad luck in the opening four races. Lucas Murno, he's competing tonight. He's in P9 on 18 points. And rounding out the top 10, we have Sander van Leeuwen on 17 points. So then, Donington, legendary circuit, been raced not in Formula One since 1993, but in real life racing, it's hosted Grand Prix events since the 1930s, I believe, as far back as the 20s, maybe actually. So it has a long, rich history of nearly 100 minutes. As you can see there, 10 minutes of qualifying coming up, followed by a 30-minute feature race and then a 15-minute reverse grid sprint race. Unfortunately, we only seem to have about 7 competitors. So with Sim Formula Europe, a couple other things happening this evening, it does feel like attendance has been somewhat depleted as everybody competes to do different sim racing categories. So we got a few top drivers here, in particular the championship leader Mark Schluter, and our reigning FSR world champion, of course, to boot, is very, very keen to take part. And there's a lot of discussions about, because we know the Go Team squad have decided not to compete in FSR World Championship in 2026. So Mark Schluter, we believe, is currently sorting out his new team. We believe David O'Reilly is involved in that at the moment and has made a bit of an offer to Mark. So let's see if anything comes of that. But let's bring in Layla now, as qualifying is about to start. Layla, it should be... I think we've got 4 really, really quick drivers in Schluter, Braxok, Bramfom, Murno, which should be entertaining. And big points on offer for the remaining 3 as well in Sweezy, O'Reilly and Squire. So I think the reverse grid could be quite interesting. I'm sure after what happened at Zandvoort, Ron Squire and Janos Braxak are going to be keen to stay as well away from each other as possible after Ron tapped Janos around and cost him a win in the first sprint race of the season.
Yeah, obviously, Donington Park, still a pretty simple track, but still complicated with some elevation changes, especially towards the last corner, so we can see a lot of stuff happen there, but now it's about Mark, and if he can get enough points to keep the championship lead in the last round.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really Schluter versus Braxok, as has been so often the case, really. And we saw great battles in Laguna Seca. Braxok, of course, winning the feature race, but Schluter coming out on top in the sprint with the, I think it was a collision with Zabrialekis, wasn't it? It was the reverse repulsor that really cost him. Yeah, it was Alekis. Yes, the Hungarian. Anyway, there you go, confirmation on the calendar. It's been 3 straight weeks. So usually there would be in a typical FSR championship a bit more space, at least a couple of weeks gap between a couple of races. So it'd be every fortnight rather than the triple header that we've been doing. So there's probably, I don't want to say exhaustion because the races aren't that long, but a little bit of, it's definitely an end of the Winter Series, and you can tell. so yeah, there's a lot of people really excited to get the main championship back up and running. Not least our sponsors as well, who I'm delighted to say we continue to enjoy the support of the likes of Gridfinder and of course David O'Reilly's SimRacers Performance Guide. And yeah, anybody else that wants to sponsor us, feel free to get in touch. As I, this is very much the FSR president talking, but trying to do a sponsorship appeal. But yeah, nevertheless, there will be some racing action coming up, and Donington, as you say, in some ways a somewhat simple circuit, but there's a decent variety. Of course, we have got the Craner curves in the middle of the track, some very high speed sections, and then we got the hairpin, the Melbourne hairpin near the end of the lap, which should be a pretty decent overtaking opportunity. Goddard's hairpin as well immediately after it, leading onto the main straight. So typically Donington Park these days holds a lot of touring cars, maybe sort of Formula 4, Formula 3, sort of national level events,
TCR.
and motorbikes as well as TCR touring cars. So I think most people associate Donington with British Touring Car Championship and TCR events, essentially. Yep. So used to very close, very physical racing. Do hope all 7 of our cars can make the end of these races, otherwise it's going to be a lot of spaces between all 7 cars. I imagine if there's a big pace differential, and that might make things slightly less exciting for us, but nonetheless, the level at the top, as I say, pretty high, and yeah, qualifying imminent in the next couple of minutes or so. So it's going to be really interesting to see who is going to be setting up the car for qualifying to try and get the ultimate quickest lap, and who in these Tatus F3 cars, which of course they're only just about getting to grips with at the end of this championship now after 3 straight weeks. It's going to be fascinating to see who decides to, who's unlocked something out of this, because there has been the likes of Brandfol Murno, for instance, who haven't done the FSR World Championship for a year. They've gotten this F3 car and they've been not far off the pace of the top guys at all. They've had some very strong drives. So anyway, qualifying, I believe, has just begun on server. So 10 minutes will start to elapse in the next couple of seconds. I believe the pit lane has just gone green now, and it is bright and sunny weather. I say that, it's 7 degrees ambient and track temperature, which obviously by I've seen by some country standards, 7 degrees, that's a luxury, but yeah, certainly it's definitely winter in the UK. So yeah,
I mean, 7 degrees in winter for Britain is already luxury. So
that's yeah, very much so. As we look to the 1980s Lotus livery of David O'Reilly, I think it's the car that is supposed to be based on the car that Senna drove for Lotus during the mid 80s, all until he signed for McLaren. Oh no, Lotus got they got a certain yellow cigarette company to sponsor them, and then he joined McLaren. Was sponsored by another cigarette company, but nonetheless, as you see the Castle Donington in the background as well, as David O'Reilly enters the Fogger TS's, which is the name of the chicane just before the Melbourne hairpin. Then, so yeah, Donington has got quite a lot of history. It's a pretty well modelled track, I think, in this game. So it's not surprised that it was on the short list. It certainly suits these Tatus F3 Asia cars quite well, I think, and yeah, should be plenty of opportunities for overtaking come the race. But you say it's a simple track when we did the opening lap, but I think that it's deceptively quite tricky. So as we see, David already starting a lap, swinging into Redgate corner, turn 1, which is certainly going to be interesting at the start of the race, because it's certainly an overtaking spot as well. if you can get the move done on the Wheatcroft straight beforehand. Of course, the circuit formerly owned by Tom Wheatcroft back in the day as well. Into Old Hairpin there, out of the Craner curves, and now towards Starkey's Bridge. Sorry, not Starsky, as in Starsky and Hutch, but into McLean's. Again, that's the tricky corner because it's so easy to understeer off into the gravel on the outside. And then Coppice, which is another deceptive one. You can see O'Reilly washes out a little bit wide onto the curb, but the car mostly compliant. And now he's coming back towards the Fogarty S's. Again, another tricky corner to spot your braking point. And you just got to keep the momentum up. Avoids the first curb, but gets well on the second part of the curb. And that halts his momentum ever so slightly because you want to ride the curds but not get too much air. As you can see, these first couple of times, it's Mark Schluter, to the surprise of very few people, I think, that is lighting up the timing screen. 117.3 in the first sector, 30.9 in sector 2, whereas O'Reilly is about half a second off in the first sector and about a second and a half off in sector 2 there.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's a bit deceptive, yes, but depends on where. Because the main deceptive part is the Melbourne, at least for me, it's the Melbourne hairpin, as it's a downhill hard braking zone, basically. Slightly downhill, which you barely notice, but it's there. And the last corner being downhill as well, pretty easy to lock up.
Yeah. We also have a few comments in the chat, not least the Hungarian contingent of Nandor Masters Alt 6, definitely watching rather than participating on this round, as we look at Ron Squire putting his Squire Nation car through its paces. Ruben Machete says, sorry for not being here tonight, got a lot of stuff to do. And I think after some of the horrendous bad luck that Ruben suffered, you can't really blame him, as Ron Squire gets very fishtaily, the rear tyre just spinning up coming out of the Melbourne hairpin. And that's very, very easy to do. So Ron, of course, this is only his second, I think, FSR event in 8 years after Zandvoort. So we're not expecting Ron to set the world alight on fire. But nonetheless, I think he would be very delighted if he could just get to the end in 7th position. As we see Lucas Murno get the optimal into P4. So he is about 2 tenths behind Dano Branfom, who's only 2 tenths off Janos Braxok. Braxok is a whole half a second off of Mark Schluter, who's just dipped into the 1 minute 20.9s at the moment. So yeah, Mark Schluter looks very, very hooked up as Murno sets a purple first sector that goes slightly faster than Mark Schluter by a couple of hundredths. Yeah,
but I'm also claiming purple sector 3. It's like the gap is there, but I think that Marcus has just found something completely different, as he sets purple sector 1 now, yet again.
Immediately takes it back off Paul, Lucas Murno. Murno then into the Fogarty S's. Looks neat and tidy. If you saw the line you took through Coppers, it was much tighter than the one that David O'Reilly was able to get off. And that indicates maybe he set up the front end to be a little bit more responsive here. Into the hairpin he goes. The rear end misbehaving a little bit, but it looks like Murno backing out of that lap then. As we cut to Branfom, a little bit too wide out of Coppice, and he spins into the gravel and taps the wall there. So, that's a bit disappointing for the valet driver, but good to see Dano absolutely pushing it to try and, he's got onto the front row at the moment, and he's absolutely going for pole there. So now we cut to the sell spot of Amin Sweezy, the Tunisian, who's certainly been one of the new teams and drivers. It's very much been Amin Sweezy that's been really impressing in the Pro Championship, and of course he is solidly in the top 6 at the moment, with 4th place last time out in the reverse grid sprint race at Laguna Seca. He had some really, really strong comeback drives, despite usually losing out on the first lap. Sweezy would somehow breeze through the field, or stealth his way through the field, it must be said, because we'd only sort of noticed halfway through the race that Sweezy would go from 13th to 4th, as we see Braxok going as wide as he can on exit and trying to catch up to Schluter. He's gotten back past down over Branfom, but is still about 3 tenths off that pole position, only just ahead of the Super Swede in the Valet as well, by 0.036 of a second.
It's pretty tough out here, honestly, with track temps, especially getting sector 3 right. The Melbourne hairpin not only does the problem of the downhill, but then it does the uphill that can get you pretty much caught up in wheel spin, which can lose you like 2 tenths way easier than what you think. just out of out of corner acceleration. So you really gotta nail your throttle perfectly, basically.
Sorry, I was a bit disconcerted there because we were watching Mark Schluter going through Goddard's final hairpin on the track, and there was a plane flying in, obviously, to the nearby airport. But that was a little bit disconcerting. It's like, is the plane about to land on the circuit or something? But that would have been an interesting end to the qualifying session. Not sure Schluter would have minded too much. But anyway, track temperature has gone up, according to RaceView, by about 10 degrees as Brandfom, again, very, very strong in the first sector. He sets a 17.371. I think he's the first man to be in the 17.3s in that first sector. Let's see as he goes through McLean's and Coppice. Looks neat and tidy here. This is where he spun out earlier. How much risk is he going to take on entry over that curb? This time keeps it a little bit more conservative, but is still able to get great momentum on exit here as he accelerates towards the Fogarty S. Is now hard on the brakes before getting the turn in the rear end, looking a little unstable as he just about gets over the curb. You can tell that Sector 2 is not an improvement on his best then. So is he going to abandon this lap and go for 2 more efforts? I think he's got time for, or he's going to try and maybe get an improvement here. Might still be a chance to beat Janos Braxog to that front row spot. Braxog himself is going even faster and trying to put paid to that design.
Also, may I correct slightly? It's actually gone down, the track temperature. At the start of the session, it was 17.1. Now it says 16.8. It actually went down.
Oh, Braxog abandoning the lap there. I think he must have made a mistake. And he's not got a lot of time to set another lap then. So Brandfom, in theory here, has got a little bit of an advantage, even if Braxog has just enough time to get back out on track for another run, as Schluter is going even faster. You can tell he's feeling very comfortable taking even more risks through that first sector there. A couple of comments about will there be a full, they say an F1 season, but I assume they mean the World Championship Pro and Academy. And yes, that's scheduled to start 1st of March. Provisionally, it's going to be Australia, Melbourne, that's the opening round. But we'll have to see. The beta car is already available. In fact, we have actually got the chassis, the car model, a revamped version of the car model by Matt Tucson, who's been hard at work on that. He's recently finished it. So we're going to get that out to everybody so they can put their deliveries on. And then hopefully within next week, we're going to be able to get sign-ups open. So exciting times. But we're into the last 30 seconds or so of the session. Mark Schluter very much on the verge of extending that pole position margin to Janos Braxog. He powers towards the line. What's it going to be for the reigning champion? It's a 1 minute 20.7, so he goes another 0.2 faster with a fantastic final sector, especially that. Final run for Brandfom starting now as well.
Schluter insane pace today. Obviously, like way above P2 and P3.
Yeah, he's still going even faster now as well, as Murdo again lowers the first sector time to 1 minute 17.264. So he is really confident through that first part of the track, and then it's sector 2 really where the problems begin through McLean's, and now he's got to swing it into Coppice. Again, a little bit more conservative as he just avoids that inside curb that could have thrown him across the track. There's a bird flying across, looking very robotic. But yeah, Murno, personal best, as Braxog is actually beating his time in the first sector. Here's Amin Sweezy finishing his final run. He is going to end this qualifying session ahead of O'Reilly and Squire, who have finished their final times. Sweezy powers towards the line. Is it going to be any closer? It is a couple of tenths closer, but not enough to challenge Lucas Murno. Braxog will be the key one, but Murno is still on an improvement here. Might have a chance at getting close to, if not ahead, of Dano Brandfom here. Towards the line they come. And Murno ends the session 6.5 tenths off of Mark Schluter's pole time in 4th position. Brandfom abandoned his lap, so it's all about Braxog now. Can he sew everything together? Murno still going after his final run. I think Braxog swinging through the final corner now, so this is it. It's do or die. Can he get anywhere near Mark Schluter? It is not an improvement, I don't believe. Oh, no, it is an improvement, but only by 0.2 of a second. So there we go. A valiant effort, but not enough to break into the 1 minute 20s. Mark Schluter very much in a class of his own.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I was worried about at the start about Mark, if he can keep the championship place, now I'm not so worried anymore.
Well, we haven't seen the races just yet, and that's where the points are handed out. So, yeah, but Braxuk certainly will feel he's got quite a margin to close, nearly 4 tenths off at the end of the day as we switch from qualifying to the warm-up and then to the races. Actually, interestingly, I'm seeing a weather change on my timing screen. Of course, it is live weather, decided, of course, by the organisers. There might be a bit of randomisation in there as well, but here's how your 7 cars line up for the final Winter Series race of January 2026. At least we got Mark Schluter on a dominant pole position, 1 minute 20.731 for the Go Team Racing outfit. Janis Braxok lines up alongside him on the front row, nearly 4 tenths off. Dano Brandbaum, his best starting position of the season so far, in third. Then it is Lucas Murno in fourth. Amin Suizi, 1.3 seconds off the pace in fifth. David O'Reilly is sixth. And Ron Squire rounds out the field 5 seconds off the pace in P7. But I think Ron should have... Is he just about within 107%? I don't know, but certainly we need him on the grid, so we can't kick him out now. I think as long as Ron keeps it clean, he should be in for a big haul of points. And same for David O'Reilly, for that matter. And certainly for the likes of Sweezy, O'Reilly and Squire, they've all got a chance to sneak into the top 10 here. Particularly Sweezy, I think, has got an excellent chance of finishing top 4 behind Schluter, Braxok and Brandfarm if he can get enough points to overhaul Laho and Ruben van den Hudding. Laho's in fourth, is only about 10 points ahead of him. So, yeah, it means Sweezy it could be on for a bit of a underdog result here, which will be great for a man who's relatively new to FSR, only a season of the Pro Championship under his belt. But there we go. The big story up front is really going to be whether Schluter and Braxok, if Schluter can end this race 10 points ahead of Janis Braxok, then he should mathematically be able to seal the championship then. He's 13 points ahead at the moment. So, but of course, it's a 4-point difference. So it's really a case of if Mark Schluter can win this first race, then he will be the Winter Series champion. And of course, he will have free entry to next season. He's already got he's got the prize money being in the process of being sent to him for the 2025 season. But he's got that coming his way, and he'll also have free entry if he wins this to the World Championship next season as well. So certainly things looking good for Mark Schluter at the present moment, but Janis Braxok will certainly not be keen to give up without a fight here.
Definitely try everything to get P1, but it's about if he will have the pace to keep up with Mark.
Absolutely then. So Schluter will look to demoralize. And could there be a bit of a sting in the tail with the weather change? Are there any drivers lower down the field who maybe decided to gamble on more of a wet weather setup in anticipation here? We know Brandfarm is at the moment circulating the circuit at the moment during this wet warm-up. But that's going to be fascinating to see if it stays wet or dries out before the start, or if indeed the weather changes mid-race, forcing everybody to change tyres. It could be, even with only 7 cars, quite chaotic, especially in these opening couple of laps. But I've certainly really enjoyed this Winter Series so far, Layla, and it's certainly, I think it was a good idea from, admittedly it wasn't mine, it was mainly David O'Reilly's idea, and Thomas Lenz as well, to an extent too. So they should get more credit than me, I think, for it. But I think it's certainly been really, really entertaining. We've seen a couple of new drivers get a run out for relatively low entry fee as well. And let's see how things fare. Of course, rFactor 2, not the most popular sim at the moment, I think it's fair to say, in terms of it's a little long in the tooth. But let's see what the entry numbers are like with the changes that we've made for 2026 for the main championship, because I think all the ingredients are in play for another fantastic world championship. It's really been fun to keep things going. Obviously, I think the one thing that might count against is the car model. It's still basically the 2025 model, but with a couple of updates and bells and whistles and wet weather tyres as well for the first time, which will be exciting. But yeah, I think a lot of people are very, very excited about the real-life 2026 car changes in real-life Formula 1. And I'm of the opinion more that it might be a more sensible decision to sort of wait and see on that front and get a more comprehensive model ready for 2027 once we know what the racing is going to be actually like in real life with those real life cars. As you see the grid forming up, doesn't take long, as I say. Only 7 cars. You see the live standings there, and the formation lap begins. Mark Schluter leading the field away, so it's not going to take long to talk you through the grid order, because you can see all of them in this one shot, and you can count them, well, almost on one hand. You need the extra finger, but yeah, so there we go.
2 extra fingers.
Yep, it looks like the weather is, I was going to say bright and sunny, but it's very much overcast, as you can see in the skies above Donington Park in Cheshire. So, yeah, certainly no stranger to the odd wet race and the odd bad weather in winter and summer and autumn. All times of the year, really.
Yep.
Mark Schluter then.
Looks pretty British.
Dominating qualifying from the front row, 4 tenths ahead of Janos Braxok. He is looking to win this championship. Dano Branfom and Lucas Murno make up row 2, former valet teammates, of course. Amin Sweezy makes up 5th position with David O'Reilly trailing in 6th, and then Ron Squire in 7th position. Could Ron put in a giant killing feat here and maybe sneak into the top 6, top 5 if there's trouble ahead of him? I wouldn't put it past him. Ron is definitely got a knack for survival. Let's put it that way. Could he win, says Amir. You know, he may well be streaming this on his TikTok channel, as he was the opener, so... Janos is Verstappen on water, says Soldsix. So he's definitely hoping it will rain, either in this race or the second one. And Soldsix also asks, where is Zebra Elekis? I assume he means Zebra Elekis. And the answer to that is, I don't know. So, yeah, maybe somebody will show up at the last minute for the second race, but I do find it unlikely. I think, as I say, it's just that first January weekend of the year where everybody's busy with Sim Formula Europe. So, but I suppose it's better to compress the Winter Championship altogether rather than lose momentum and have an even bigger drop-off of attendance if we've made it like 5 rounds or something. Anyway, coming into grid position now is Mark Schluter, and this is going to be exciting. Can Mark... Janos completely misses a good spot there just to play a little mind games, I think, with Mark there. What do you make of that, Layla?
Honestly, I wouldn't know. It could have been both.
Yeah, it could have just been a genuine mistake, because look at how many grid lines are from the motorcycle racing that they do here, where obviously the grid is lined up in freeze. But anyway, lights about to come on here at Donington Park, and the feature race is underway. Can Mark Schluter seal the Winter Series Championship? The road to FSR is about to come to an exciting conclusion. Schluter has actually made a poor getaway here. He's being swapped into turn 1 by Braxok and Branfom. Branfom into P2, and Schluter's about to lose another position to Lucas Murno, who gets alongside as well as they rush down through Hollywood into the Craner curves there, and that could not have been a much worse start for Mark Schluter. At least he's still in the race, but he's down to 4th position, and to be 4th out of 7 cars is not what he would have had in mind, as Murno gets a little bit sideways coming out of the old hairpin through Starkey's Bridge, and now into McLean's for the first time they go. You can tell Braxok is really pulling away, 9 tenths ahead of Branfom, as Squire gets sideways in the background, but just gets it back under control. So easy does it, Ron. Still quite a way to go, 29 minutes. You don't want to blow it on the first lap there, but Ron continuing to battle on in 7th position. But the real battle is right behind Dano Branfom, as Murno and Schluter starting to put him under pressure here.
Yeah, definitely not the start that Mark would have wished for, honestly. And actually, Braxok is the start that he wished for, definitely. So
fell right into his lap, really, because he had that. He was able to get to the line he absolutely wanted into, basically Redgate, the first corner, really, really quickly. Whereas the move that Branfom made was a little bit more risky. He made a bit of contact with Schluter going up the inside of it, whereas Braxok was able to get to the racing line and get on the power a bit sooner and just escape from all the squabbling. Branfom still picking up the embers of Slipstream, 8 tenths behind. But it's very much a lot of rear guard action there, as you see another plane taking off overhead. And Mark Schluter will be hoping to somehow escape from this battle here, because it's now looking like, if it finishes this way, the battle is definitely going to go on to the last race here, which is exactly what Branfom would want. But up the inside comes Murno into McLean's, and he goes clean up the inside of Dano Branfom for second position. So it's an optimal 1-2. And Murdo, very, very opportunistic. There's Bramfom starting to squirm out on the exit of that must be Coppice there. He's just exited, and that's allowing Schluter to try and go around the outside into the fog of TSs, but he can't afford to take a huge risk here. If he crashes into Bramfom, that could put him at a severe disadvantage.
Yeah, honestly, right now it's about survival. The track is
Up
a
the
whole
inside.
degree.
Into the hairpin, Bramfom loses it and makes contact with Sweezy as Schluter slivers his way around the outside. So luckily, Bramfom made a mistake there and Mark Schluter back onto the bottom step of the podium here. But this at the moment, whoa, as Schluter getting all the way off track and hits he weaponizes the advertising hoarding there and slams it into Amir Sweezy there. But that puts Schluter down to 5th. So the reigning champion, the German, looking very flustered on this open lap again, a little bit wide into Redgate there. And it really feels like a lot of the confidence he had in qualifying is starting to vanish. So this is a replay of what happened. He gets sideways very early on and the rear tires just light up like a Christmas tree. There is the projectile weapon there. The Sweezy gets quite rudely brushed by it as he tries to quietly mind his own business and go up to 4th position.
It wasn't even there. It was invisible.
See, David O'Reilly gets a grandstand view and avoids it himself. But luckily, they don't have a lot of weight, luckily, the advertising hoarding, so it can be a bit dangerous if it gets stuck under the cars, is the only thing I would say. But yeah, Schluter now with a much more difficult fight. If anything, this is playing even more into Janos Braxog's hands, because if he finishes first with Schluter in P5, that's a 13-point swing. So they would be dead level going into the final reverse grid round. So yeah, he'll be hoping Sweezy and Bramfom can keep him at bay here. But yeah, I mean, Sweezy looking to match or better. He hasn't been on an FSR podium yet in his brief career, so he'd be very, very keen to find a way past Bramfom if it's at all possible. But he's also got to hold off the reigning champion Schluter. So this is a great opportunity for Amir Sweezy to showcase his defensive and his attacking driving here.
Yeah, honestly, Mark, if he keeps that position, he could tie with him for race 2 and then take advantage of the fact that Braxog is going to start way at the back.
That is true. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, that is certainly, with only 7 cars, it almost guarantees it's going to be a significant amount of them that get reverse gridded, essentially, and flipped on their head here. But yeah, Bramfom once more having to play a bit of rearguard defensive action. Murno, who's slipped through already, can Amir Sweezy and Mark Schluter get through. We did see Schluter make a move and then lose it only 1 corner later. And he's got another good run on Amir Sweezy. Sweezy not defending into the Melbourne hairpin. No, Schluter will be a little bit too far back to kamikaze dive his way up the inside there. Braxog continuing to set fastest laps of the race up front, by the way, 1:23.0 last lap around. And Lucas Murno, if anything, with that brilliant, continuing to pump in excellent first sectors, is continuing to close. But look at this, Layla. Mark Schluter is all over the back of Sweezy as they go into Redgate.
He might not want the reverse grid, I guess, if he goes for position.
Well,
I mean,
too
you
risky.
can still go.
Look at this. He's going to try and cut underneath him through the crane of curves. And is Sweezy going to cut him off? Yes, he is. He makes a bit of contact before opening up the steering. And again, they make contact front wheel to rear wheel. And there's just enough space for the two of them to go side by side on the exit there of the old hairpin. And Schluter has braved his way up the inside. And Sweezy's left just enough room for the reigning champion to get through there.
I got a bit of PTSD from that move, from my first ever race that was right here. And then on the same corner, they crashed right in front of me.
There we go. Lots of curb taken by Sweezy there. I think he did a pretty solid job. And David O'Reilly actually doing well to keep up with them as Ron Squire is doing a bit of grass cutting. He's lost it coming out of Redgate and just rejoined at the crane of curves there.
A bit of rallying here and there, doesn't hurt.
It's definitely Ron Squire struggling to just keep it pointed in a straight line, but still on the lead lap then with 23 minutes left to go on the clock. That is the advantage Schluter's got. He's got a bit more time to recover. If he finishes here P4 or better, he will still be in the championship lead going into the final round, but with a much reduced margin as things stand at the moment. Certainly Brandfom, he's passed him once before, and that would give him the confidence that he can at least finish P3. But look at the gap between Brandfom and Murno. It's 3.5 seconds already now. So Murno has got a big march in. He can do Braxock a huge favour, as indeed can Dano Brandfom, by basically acting as buffers so that Braxock can close in those championship standings. Mark Schluter sets the fastest first sector of the race there. Look at how much he's pushing.
Yeah, honestly, I think Mark just wants to win, honestly. I don't think he wants to go for the reverse grid points.
Well,
so
he wouldn't be that far back even if he did somehow win this one.
I mean, honestly, now it's about survival because I am watching the track temperature and it's going even lower as you speak.
So yeah, that will be interesting to keep an eye on the weather here, because the tyres will be up to temperature at least. I think that was really what caught Mark Schluter out, is that they just didn't grip when he was expecting them to, which is why we saw him at that wild moment coming out the last corner. And yeah, it was lucky he didn't actually hit the wall, because the advertising audience, you see Brandfom, the rear tyres just starting to complain actually as he exits Melbourne hairpin there. Meanwhile, up front, Murno's got almost within a second of Braxock now, so actually starting to push to catch up to his teammates. You can see Schluter starting to really move around in the peripheral vision and the rear view mirrors of Dano Brandfom here. So Brandfom has defended well in this championship since returning to FSRs. Look at how wide Schluter's going on exit there. 121.9, fastest lap comfortably of anybody. Three purple sectors everywhere then. So Schluter has definitely got the bit between his teeth and seems like a man on a very, very critical mission here. So Brandfom will have to pull out all the stops then if he wants to hold on to this podium.
Yeah, honestly, I think Mark got really put out by the temperature here. Because it was in qualifying, it was 17 degrees, 0.1. Now it's, what, 14.6, I think? Or it's 9. I don't know. Pixelated to read, but as the tires obviously are suffering a bit from having a bit of a heating issue right now, probably, so...
Yeah.
And also in racing, you feel a lot the difference already from 1 degree, you can imagine 3 degrees.
Ooh. Yeah, he really tends to just light up the rear tyres once he gets to the apex, does Dano Brandfom. So I wonder if he's starting to drive defensively already, as again, he's just about makes the apex there for the final corner there, but with the pace that Schluter's got in hand, it definitely seems that Brandfom is looking distinctly vulnerable. Does set personal best this lap though, 122.5, so faster than our two leaders, closest the gap to 2.5 seconds, as this is on board with, big moment there for David O'Reilly, who gets into the gravel coming out of McLean's, but actually that was pretty well held. He realised the back end was stepping out quite early on and was able to rejoin the circuit quite quickly. So David O'Reilly only about 3.7 seconds behind Amir Sweezy at the present moment then, as they continue to do battle over that 5th position, but it is leading 4 positions as expected. They're the most hotly contested right now, and Schluter is really starting to put pressure and try and, you can see him contemplating where is the best corner, best opportunity on track to make a move here. We saw him taking a lot of risks with Sweezy. Is he going to take the same approach with Brandfom, or is he going to try and wait for Brandfom to make a mistake here under pressure?
Yeah, also we can see in the minimap that Braxock is soon gonna have blue flag issues, probably. Because we can see that Ron Squire is actually pretty further back, and is 1 corner ahead of Braxock right now.
Yep, so hopefully, we do not, as you say, we do not see a repeat of the reverse grid race at Zandvoort, where there were so many issues between these two. But yeah, Braxock, Ron will at least get pretty early notice that Janos is coming. So, and we also know Lucas Murno right behind him, so there is a genuine battle for the win here, because it's not really a team championship, it's individuals. So Lucas Murno may be very, very tempted to go for personal glory, yet to take a win, was 2nd in the reverse grid race at Zandvoort, just ahead of Janos Braxock, of course. And of course, with Mark Schluter coming for both of them, it could well turn into a three-way battle for victory if they're not careful then. Meanwhile, Ron Squire very much keeping himself to himself, and certainly minimise some of the mistakes. There's still a couple of seconds off the pace, I think it's fair to say, but certainly starting to catch up after a pretty tricky qualifying for him, where he was struggling to set clean lap times. And Schluter, there you can see, wide entry, but nails the apex and the exit there, as Branfom is very much trying to catch up to the two leaders and pushing to do so as well. We actually see Murno also set a personal best lap time the last time around, a tenth quicker than Janis Braksok. And Branfom is pretty much setting identical lap times to them, sets a purple final sector to Dano. So he is really responding to Schluter, who's actually had an invalid lap, 8/10 behind him. So maybe a bit of dirty air starting to affect Mark Schluter, as the front tyres maybe start to overheat behind that ballet car.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it's still, what, 17 minutes of racing, if I'm not reading wrong? 17? Yeah,
That's
17.
correct. It is starting to disappear quickly, though.
Yeah, but there's still space for mistakes from all drivers, so you can never say ever. You can never say ever, or whatever the saying is. But
Branfom very far on the curb, coming out of Coppice then towards the fog of the S's they come, and Schluter has got to run. It's going to be risky to go up the inside into this chicane. Branfom sees him coming loose, just enough room, and slots in behind. So can Dano Branfom get a decent exit here and counter-attack up the inside into the Melbourne hairpin? He contemplates it. He's not far along the inside on the right-hand side to be able to make that dive, and Schluter has got that third place back in his hands after another purple sector to his name. So now he is very much unleashed and only 4 seconds off the lead. So Braksok maybe has been saving his tyres. You see Ron Squire getting out of the way of the leaders in rapid succession here. He's still got to let Schluter and Branfom through as he goes into Redgate for another lap. Oh, very, very sideways, and surely that's going to mean he has to give up here and let... Oh, makes contact with Schluter! Oh, dearie me, Squire is around and facing the wrong way, corrects himself quickly there, but, oh, luckily, that only cost Schluter one position there, but that could have been curtains for our reigning world champion, and another slightly embarrassing moment for Ron Squire.
remember what they said about 30 seconds ago? There's still room for mistakes.
Yes, didn't think it would be Ron making a mistake, admittedly. But here we go, replay that moment. Squad tried to get out of the way, and I think had a moment as another board of advertising goes flying. And the rejoin was also a bit tight there. Schluter just about regained control in time there, so Mark thinks he's through. And yeah, you saw Ron weaves to the right-hand side. The car sort of swung back on him, and he tried to get it back under control in time. So definitely was a genuine error. I think Ron was almost too keen to get out of the way. You can see on board from Branfom, it swings back on him. So he just got sideways. Instead of neatly getting out of the way, he sort of panicked and lost control there. So certainly I think we're going to get another video from Ron Squire of him vociferously apologizing. Yeah, there you go, just an overcorrection. And luckily, there's not more cars on track, because I think one of them might have hit him as he was spinning there, if that was the case. Oh, I mean, so easy flying by there.
That was particular, to say the least.
Yeah, but that certainly has affected Mark Schluter's chances. Still, incredibly, only 5 seconds off the lead, despite that.
Yeah, he lost, what, a second? Yeah, a second. It was 4 seconds.
Yeah, that could have been so much worse for Mark. So he's had 2 big spins in this race after starting from pole position. And you have to say 12 minutes to go, he could still very much finish on the podium, maybe even challenge for victory there. But he's got to pass Dano Branfom for the 3rd time in this race now. As we see Murno continuing to challenge. He's got within half a second of Janis Braksok in this fight for victory. And the Brazilian, at the moment, very much looks the faster driver.
Yeah, now though, like Braksok needs to avoid the regression of last week at Laguna Seca, where teammates took each other out. So
Braksok was the one chasing from behind in that scenario, whereas this time he's been managing things from the front since he got into the lead at the start. As you see, Braksok personal best lap 122.2, half a second quicker than, or 4/10 quicker I should say, than Lucas Murno. Dano Branfom 122.1, and Schluter obviously still recovering from the massive amount of wear that his rear tyres would have gone through, 122.4. So yeah, Schluter definitely up against it at the moment. If it finished this way with Mark Schluter in P4 and Braxok in P1, it would be a 10-point swing. So Schluter would go in only 3 points ahead going into the final race. So that could very much be a brilliant setup for our final reverse grid race. It's all Murdo's round! He takes too much risk, goes too wide, trying to get on the power too early out of Coppice, and that's him spinning out of second position. Branfarm goes through, and so too does Schluter, and that changes the picture in the championship completely.
Yeah, because now Schluter in the race too is gonna have the position advantage. Hopefully he gets the start right this time. And
rear wheel dipped onto the grass and gravel there.
Yeah, that's relatable.
Yeah, well, I hope not too relatable, Layla, when you start your own season driving for my team. But there we go. That puts Schluter crucially into third. He will get 18 points if he can finish there, which minimises damage. He would lose just, I believe, 7 points to Giannis Braxok, currently set to win, and now a 3.8 second advantage. So that very much takes the pressure off of Giannis. But I think, yeah, Lucas Murno pushing that a little bit too hard. He's now 11 seconds off the lead there. So you did say this was going to turn into a race of who can avoid making big mistakes. And at the moment, it's really been Braxok and Branfom that have kept it very, very clean at the moment. And that's why they're running first and second. But Schluter has certainly not given up his designs on that second place here. He wants to make sure that Braxok does not have any chance of closing in on him in this final round. It's coming up in just over 11 minutes time, of course.
Now, track temperature is slightly better than what we checked last time, so Schluter is probably gonna regain some pace as we saw the great pace that he had when the track was a bit more warmer. So yeah, if it gets back to 17 degrees, which could happen, we might see the quali pace come back, even though the tires may be a little wore down from the slight spins. And yeah.
Interesting comments here. ECS44 SimRacing says, if Zabralekis was racing today, Braxok wouldn't even finish the race, so it's better that he isn't here today. Which, I don't know, I feel like he wouldn't make the same mistake twice. Zoltzik says, Schluter, over hill and dale, across land and water. It certainly felt that way today. He's travelled on the racetrack and also very much off the racetrack. But still, he could well get that second position at the end of this one. That's going to be key to how this road to FSR Winter Series plays out here. Schluter has set another fastest lap, 121.8 last lap around, 6/10 quicker than Branfom, who's only 9/10 ahead of him. So Branfom has just got to hold on for 10 minutes more. Lucas Murno in the 122.3s as well, about 5 seconds in arrears from this battle then. So it's not completely out of the question that Murno could maybe catch back up, but it is going to be quite a tall order for him.
Can I retake back everything I said one lap ago about track temperature? Because I just watched it drop 1.5 degrees.
Well, there we go. I think in the middle of winter, one thing you can probably guarantee on this, that the temperature is going to drop quite quickly in the evening. But nonetheless,
no,
now...
but even in the UK, end of sentence.
Yep. Well, it's cloudy, it's overcast, and it's Donington Park. And as you see, Branfom, this is where the question of who has still got kept their tyres alive at this phase of the race is going to come into play. And Braxok has very much been taking it very, very steady in the lead in the sort of mid and high 22s, whereas his rivals behind have been pushing to get into the 121s. Lucas Murno sets a 121.8 as he attempts to close in on this particular battle, and Schluter now is all over the back of Branfom, and once again putting the valet car under pressure here. So this is a question of Branfom has seen Schluter go past him twice now, so in theory the Swede is going to be up to date on all of the German's tricks here. So Mark Schluter might have to go for something unconventional. We've seen him pass into the Fogarty Acid chicane. We've seen him pass into the Melbourne hairpin as well. Is he going to have to try maybe into Redgate like we saw on Amin Sweezy when he made that side-by-side move? And again, look at the risk he's taking on entry there. It's paying off on exit. He's going to try it into the hairpin, Layla.
Yeah, honestly, that's a great corner to catch up some space, because as soon as the car in front makes a mistake, you gain so much time that you can send it into the Melbourne hairpin. But now, Schluter is he gonna send it here? I doubt that, because it's the worst corner to send it, so he's probably gonna wait either turn 1 or directly sector 2. Because for the entire first sector, trying to overtake is a bit of a suicide, if you may say so. If I may say so myself.
It's not
And,
wise, is it? But yeah, look at this.
No.
You can tell Schluter is the driver that's a little quicker, a little more confident, but Branfom has got really good defensive instincts here in terms of positioning the car. You saw at the Melbourne hairpin there, he squeezed Schluter when he got alongside and knew he would have the inside for the second hairpin, so he was able to compromise the Go Team driver's exit there. But yeah, this is going to be very, very close in these final 7 minutes then, and definitely Braxel will not be worried by it one bit. He'll just be able to manage that 4-second gap. The other thing about this battle is if Branfom can hold Schluter up for long enough, it could allow Lucas Murno to join, but Murno was about a tenth slower than Schluter the previous lap around. So
he's probably gonna send it.
yeah, Branfom really starting to feel the pressure here. He knows he's not as quick.
Oh,
Again, not a great run out of the Folger TS as he gets alongside much earlier this time. And Schluter's going to be able to control the inside line. Branfom stranded on the outside, tries to cut back underneath. Cuts up a little bit of dust on the inside, but it's no use. Mark Schluter back up into second position, and boy, has he had to work hard to get into this position. Now, there is a slim chance that Mark Schluter can maybe regain the lead and seal this Winter Series Championship around early. But at the moment, I think Janos Braxel will now know that he's got to disappear up the road if it's at all possible before Schluter can come and come for him as well.
Yeah, it's also about tire, because I'm pretty sure that Grafholm right now got a fresher tire than Schluter, because he has been driving a pretty much a clean race. Like Mark that had a few issues, so he might have the fresher tires, so he just needs to pretty much focus on staying behind him, which it's not really happening right now, but never say never, so...
Yeah, you've got to say, it has been... He made 2 mistakes near the beginning, didn't he? One where he didn't make a great launch off the line, and secondly where he spun coming out the final corner and just about saved it in time. The collision with Ron Squire was definitely not really his fault in any way, shape or form, because Ron left plenty of room and then lost control and tapped the rear of his car around. So yeah, certainly Schluter would be even closer to Braxel had that not happened with Ron Squire. So definitely Ron is repaying the favour very much that he cost Janos in the opening event of this championship.
Mark is actually closing the gap.
He is. Look at that. He's been closing almost 2/10 in the first 2 sectors there. So let's see if this is going to be another 121 lap. Over the line come Braxel and Schluter. Schluter sets the fastest lap, 121.5. Braxel says 122.8 then. So Mark Schluter is absolutely flying, and he's very, very quickly returned to his old self. Now it's a question of, can he wrestle back the lead and seal this championship in the final 4.5 minutes here of this opening race?
Yeah, now it's all about Mark having to keep his cool, keep his head down, and not make any more mistakes, as Brafholm is still there, he's not too far off, so any mistake can cost Schluter the position again. And also we see Schluter actually gaining a lot out of that last corner. He's almost gained 3/10.
Yeah, Branfom doing his best to keep up with the both of them, but he's fallen to 1.3 seconds adrift of Schluter now. And yeah, the pressure very much on Braxel at this phase of the race. Obviously, he had a little challenge from Murno earlier that he stood up to well, but it's quite another thing entirely when someone at Mark Schluter's caliber, who of course won 5 races in the World Championship last season, Braxel has only just won his very, very first. And of course, he did beat Schluter last time out in the feature race at Laguna Seca. So he certainly fought with Mark Schluter on multiple occasions in recent history. But yeah, this is where, at the business end of this Winter Series, the pressure will start to ramp up here. Both of them know exactly what's at stake, a free. They won't have to pay entry fees for the World Championship next year. And of course, there is the personal glory, of course, going into the season as the Winter Series champion. Of course, Janos Braxel has done it once before in 2020. Mark Schluter, of course, has won the actual World Championship and is looking to add another string to his bow here. So that is the situation, that is the state of play with 3 minutes left to go and just 1.4 seconds between the two of them. This is getting very, very exciting. You can tell Braxel just looking a little bit squirrely, and look at who they're catching up to again. It's Ron Squire, I think. Yeah, it is Ron.
I'm
Amir Oates says
watching.
not
I'm watching
again
the
in the background.
I'm watching the gap, and Mark seems to be finding most of his space difference in sector 2 and sector 3.
Ron gets
Ron?
very deep on the
Ron?
brakes to get out of the way there.
Ooh.
Very sensible. It is well clear of both of the championship contenders there. 2.5 minutes left to go. Into the final corner comes Braxock. Both of them absolutely nailing the exit there. No hint of overly sort of wheel spin there. And 8/10 between the two of them. So that was another 9/10 of a second gained by Mark Schluter here. He is taking chunks out of Braxock at the moment here. But again, time is against him. He's got this lap or one more in which to pass him here. And as far as the Winter Series are concerned, the stakes cannot be much higher.
Yeah, honestly, if I was Braxock right now, I'd try to keep it calm, because as soon as you see your direct rival catching up so fast, I would actively be shaking. But you need to keep cool and keep the position here. And
Well, the other thing
great
as well,
that-
he's got to make sure he doesn't leave the door open for Schluter.
Yeah.
He's got to have half an eye now on defending position, like we saw Branfom try to do. And this is where Braxock needs to be really careful at where he positions his car. A little bit risky exit from the chicane there. Schluter as well gets close. He knows he's got another lap, and there Braxock cuts the inside to defend, but that will compromise his exit here. That allows Schluter to get a front wheel alongside, coming into the final corner at Goddard's here. And again, early entry there from Braxock, and again, almost a little bit of contact between the two. You couldn't even put a cigarette paper between these two now as they start what should be the final lap of the race into Redgate for the last time then. And Mark Schluter, this has got to be where he goes for the move here. Will this end with Mark Schluter as the champion, or will it go to one final race then? Let's wait and see.
it's now very close between the two drivers. This is where usually Braxock loses time to Mark, and last time at Melbourne Airpin, he actually went defensive, and I don't blame him. I would have said that I would have done that as well. I would have expected Mark to actually send it as a last desperate act, but
Oh, they're both
We see
going well
Bra-
over the curve
Yeah.
at Coppis. Amazing, they didn't
But now-
fly off and join the jumbo jets in the sky there. But yeah, Schluter again. Look at the way Braxock's swerving quite late to rejoin the racing line there, almost trying to dissuade Mark from making a move. Coming out of the S's and towards Melbourne Hairpin for the final time. Again, Braxock tries to square off the corner. Schluter tries to nail his exit. Again, a little bit of contact almost with the rear wheels of the Optimino. Again, they're swerving all over the track, and there's one more corner to go. Braxock breaks very, very deep. Schluter's up the inside, and at the final corner of the race, Mark Schluter steals the title. There we go. From 5th at the start of the race, he's gone all the way back up to 1st, and what a scintillating ending to that race there. And Braxock, it was one mistake right at the end, and Schluter absolutely took advantage there. Amazing feature race, and a well-deserving champion there. I think mathematically now they're 10 points apart with only 10 points left to play for the win in race 2. So they mathematically they could tie, but I believe they both have Schluter's got one more win as well, and he's got another second place. They both got 2 second places rather. So yeah, if it comes down to wins, then Schluter's going to steal it then. So yeah, I think we can pretty much confirm that is Schluter's championship then in the Winter Series.
wow, honestly, that was an amazing race from Mark, as he had difficulties from the start, but he never let it get to his head, and he went full speed until the end and actually got the championship out of it. So huge congratulations to him.
Yeah, exactly. Never ever give up seems to be Mark Schluter's mantra there, as we see all 7 drivers across the line then. So confirmation of the final results. Mark Schluter steals the win and the title by 0.190 of a second. And so just under 2 tenths decided it. And Braxock will feel so frustrated to see the win slip through his fingers after leading the entire race up to that point. Dano Branfom gets another podium to his name in third with Lucas Murno. That spin really cost him. He could have been very much a factor in that battle for victory had he not spun out there coming out of Coppice. Amir Sweezy, another strong drive for him. He takes P5, and David O'Reilly and Ron Squire both get their best results in the Winter Series. David O'Reilly still staying on the lead lap. Ron Squire almost completely staying out of trouble, but just making things a little more tricky for Mark Schluter in the end. So should have won, so I don't think he'll be too upset with Ron after that one. But yes, certainly that could have ended in a lot more tears.
That could have definitely ended in so many different ways. This whole entire race could have ended in so many different ways, starting from Mark not making a mistake at the start, or Ron not making that slight veer into Mark. It could have gone so many different ways, this race, honestly.
Yeah, interested. Ron Squire is in the FSR Discord chat at the moment, apologising to Mark. He says, sorry about the tangle, lost some grip and veered into you. Mark says, oh, okay, I thought maybe I crossed over to you and hit you. But yeah, it definitely looked to me like Ron just had a little bit of instability.
Yeah, if that was under a review, probably... I mean, if it was a FIA, it would have been a penalty, but if it was any other organization, it would have been seen probably as a racing incident, honestly.
Ron Squire, I think, has made the biggest swing in the championship because he's gone from 22nd with 0 points. He is now finishing 7th. He's got a full 9 points, which is going to put him equal with Zabralecki's. Would have put him equal with David O'Reilly, but O'Reilly has just added another 10 points to his name for finishing 6th. So there we go. In fact, confirmation there, you can see David O'Reilly's got 7 hours into the top 10 for the first time. But confirmation, Mark Schluter now 13 points ahead of Janos. Oh no, is he 13 points ahead? He is, isn't he? Oh, so all that I was saying about the whole it was 13 points ahead going in, and now he's, I think, even more than that. So it is all but confirmed there. He's about 17 points ahead now, isn't he? So with only 10 points left off, we can officially confirm that he's uncatchable. Then Janos Braxock is, I think, 10 points ahead of Branfom, so he's almost certainly confirmed for P2. Branfom, with that podium, has put him well ahead of Amir Sweezy, who's our new P4 driver, with 37 points to his name. Laho is now down to 5th. Lucas Murno, with that 5th position, is up to P6. Ruben van den Hudding, Loic Moynihan, and Ruben Machete have dropped to 7th, 8th, and 9th, respectively. And then David O'Reilly is only a point behind Ruben Machete, which is certainly interesting to say the least. David O'Reilly could well even beat the likes of Machete, Moynihan, and van den Hudding by the end of this, which I don't think he would have been expecting at the start of the season.
Also, I want to add, Janos, honestly, even though he lost the championship, still great fight. He tried until the end to defend it, and it happens, but still, great job from him as he defended that very well.
Certainly, he was at a bit of a disadvantage because of the mess that happened in the first corner in the feature at Zandvoort, where he lost his front wing and still got P12 and a few points out of that particular race. But really, he was on the back foot ever since in the fight against Schluter, and has finished on the podium in all 4 races since. So he's certainly been the most consistent in this championship since then. So let's see, of course, if Janos can maybe end things on a high. We don't know what the weather's going to do in the final race, but we've probably got just enough time now to play a couple of ads before we go into our 15-minute reverse grid feature, which is almost certainly going to see Ron Squire and David O'Reilly starting on the front row together, and that is going to be an interesting combination, to say the least. So enjoy these ads from our sponsors, Grid Finder and the SimRacing Performance Guide. And on the other side of that, no, actually, I think we might have actually gone straight to the grid, so we might not have time for our ads. We might be able to go through a couple of them very, very quickly. So let's transition to the ads.
SimRacer's Performance Guide, your guide to race setup, strategy, driver performance. Dive in deep, learn about suspension, aero, braking, drivetrain, with a 77-page manual packed full of hours of video tutorials as well. Learn how to fully engineer your setup and get more from your sim. Written and tested by real-world racing drivers, proven in Formula Sim Racing and VEC. Understand and optimize it all with the SimRacer's Performance Guide. Quote FSR for a 20% discount off the normal €10 price.
Welcome back to Donington Park then, as the final race of the Winter Series is about to get underway. Our 7-car grid just circulating at the present moment, of course. Let's go through the grid then, Layla.
Right, so first row, starting first, Ron Squire and David O'Reilly. For the second row, we have Amir Swissy and Lucas Murno. Then, third row, Denov Breton for P5 and Janos Praksok in P6 in front of Mark Schluter, who's starting last, or P7.
So yeah, certainly Schluter, after the first race, will be no stranger to making his way through the field. But yeah, certainly him and Janos Praksok will find things a little trickier on this particular occasion. And Ron Squire, of course, not used to starting quite this high up. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it relatively clean in his first few laps and see how long he can hold on to those sort of podium positions for. I'll tell you who I think is going to be a real threat here. Amin Sweezy and Lucas Murdo in third and fourth. If they can clear O'Reilly and Squire quickly, they might be able to build enough of a gap before the likes of Schluter and Praksok can catch them. But there you go, confirmation of the standings. As we said, Schluter is very much confirmed champion. We'll confirm him again at the end of this race. Obviously, it won't be quite as exciting as the end of the feature with him stealing the win on the exit of the final corner. But yeah, Praksok will be very, very keen to, at least he's got a chance to make amends for that late mistake there that cost him victory.
Also now we're gonna see how names of Ron Squire, David O'Reilly deal with starting in the first spots.
Ron Squire, of course, our video highlights editor for the World Championship. David O'Reilly, one of our race directors, of course, so great to see.
He's a bit far back, ain't he?
A little bit, but the light's on now, and when they go out, here we go. Oh, a terrible start for Ron Squire. He bogs down. He almost made a Mark Schluter-esque start there, and he has fallen almost down to fourth already. Amin Sweezy going through the middle up the inside of O'Reilly and takes the lead. You see Ron Squire almost still on the pit limiter there. He's had a horrible start. And David O'Reilly down to P2. Murno in P3 holding off Dano Branfom, and then it's Schluter and Praksok side by side in the background. Schluter goes up the inside of Janos Praksok and takes fifth position already as they go through the old hairpin there. So Janos Praksok again. Oh, let's look at this. Murno almost alongside O'Reilly as they go uphill towards McLean's coming through the Schwantz curve. And O'Reilly, if he can hold up Murno here, that can really play into Amin Sweezy's hands here. You can see Murno swerving all over the track. He really, really wants to get into second position quickly here.
Yeah, honestly, also great start from Schluter, who also jumped Praksok already. And he's already right behind Brafon, so he's gonna be joining this fight really quickly, as he's already going alongside with Brafon.
Yeah, and poor Dano Bramfom. He's had to fight with Mark Schluter almost continuously today, hasn't he? And he's been put in that same position again. So Mark Schluter's going to have to pass him for a fourth time in the space of 30 minutes. As we see, Murno diving up the inside of O'Reilly for P2 into the hairpin. Side by side they go. And I think David O'Reilly just made a bit of a mistake and left plenty of room for him there. So Lucas Murno into P2. O'Reilly's going to try and dive back up the inside. Lovely fighting spirit from the Australian there. And he retakes second position. So Murno didn't quite get the exit onto the start-finish straight that he needed. And Amin Sweezy, who may have seemed a bit worried a couple of seconds ago, is now going to feel he can sprint away while David O'Reilly plays rear guard action, begins very sideways on the exit of the old hairpin. And Murno's going to once again come up the inside, and here comes Branfom as well, waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Bit of tie rubbing. Round goes O'Reilly, round goes Branfom. Oh dear, I think Dan Ove was just swerving to avoid the stranded car there. O'Reilly loses positions to Schluter as well. He's got Praksok all over the back of him as well. So Janos Praksok still not able to take advantage of all the chaos then As Murno now solidly into P2 and free to chase down Amin Sweezy there. So a small mistake from David O'Reilly. He's now into P4, but that had big consequences, especially for Bramfall.
Yeah, Bramfall who is now P6 and lost the position to Schluter, and O'Reilly also losing the position to Mark. So we already see Schluter on the podium chasing for Lucas now.
Now this will be very, very interesting for Sweezy, finding himself in the lead. He's got to hold on for another 12 minutes more. I think Amin Sweezy, who's not finished on the podium, would dearly love to change that for cell spot here. Because it's a Tunisian. Yes, exactly. But yeah, Murno, Schluter, they've got such latent pace here. The other interesting thing that could happen if there is any rain on the horizon, that could very much play into Sweezy's hands, could add a bit of a variable. So let's see the start. You can see here Ron Squire, the lights go out and he just bogs down in first gear there and sees everybody sweep past him there. So pole position was very, very short-lived for the Welshman.
Did he jump? Or did
I don't think he did.
He just didn't accelerate?
Yeah, I think it's almost like he didn't put enough revs in. Usually they sort of put too much wheel spin, and that's what bogs it down. As they see a replay here of O'Reilly. Oh, he gets tapped by Murno, loses it. Oh, and Bramfom did actually well not to just clatter into the back of him there, but of course that's put him in the gravel and lost him about 10 seconds essentially. Yeah, that was a scary, scary moment for the both of them.
I think he went on the brakes after seeing O'Reilly spinning and just the rear decided to go on its own.
I'll tell you what, Mark Schluter did incredibly well there because he saw that campaign, he didn't panic like Bramfom did. He just kept it calm and relaxed and was able to slot around the outside of O'Reilly. In fact, we've seen Braxock has now just gotten for a past the Australian as well for P4. As you see Murno here now closing on Amin Sweezy for the lead with 10 minutes left to go here. So Amin Sweezy is very much going to be up against it, but Murno yet to win in the Winter Series. How dare the Brazilian himself would love to win this reverse grid encounter. But Mark Schluter, the new champion, is coming for them both.
Yeah. Also, I mean right now definitely fighting nails and fingers for this position as we see him go wide a bit.
Yeah, he's going to need nails, fingers, teeth, all sorts of body parts to throw at Lucas Murno here to keep him at bay as they go through the Fogarty S's there, the front end complaining for grip there. And Amin Sweezy still ahead for the time being. He's had a strong start to this race, last lap 122.2, but you can tell Murno's been closing about half a second and Schluter's been taking almost a whole second out of the both of them. 121.6 last time around. Murno hits the back of Sweezy into the hairpin there, and that's going to cost him. It's going to put him right into the clutches of Mark Schluter here. So Schluter this time has got to find a way past the Brazilian, and Lucas Murno is a very different driver to Janos Braxock, a little bit more wild, some might say. So it's going to be interesting to see if Murno defends even harder than Braxock might do in this situation.
Yeah, we might even see Amin completely running away from Mark, taking advantage of him fighting Murno.
Yeah, certainly Amin has nailed the start here, like we saw Braxock did, and that's put him in this position. But he is still very much vulnerable here. He needs to make sure he doesn't make any big mistakes here, because that could not only cost him a win, it could cost him a chance at a podium here, with Braxock starting to catch up to all of them. 122.0 last lap round. He's matching the times of Schluter here. So Sweezy effectively is dictating the pace of Murno and Schluter behind him while they're bottled up behind him, and that could play into Braxock's hands slightly.
Yeah, but I mean, right now I think like Mark is like driving the most chill of his drive. I think he has nothing to lose anymore, so he's driving
very much the case.
A bit calmer.
Here we go. Murno makes his move, slots himself up the inside. That was a bit of a marginal one. They come out side by side, and Murno has stolen the lead from Amin Sweezy coming out of that final corner at Goddard's here. Into the first corner we go. And into Red Gate. Murno gets a bit sideways there. That was a bit of an aggressive move from Sweezy to try and retake the lead, but he has lost it to Lucas Murno there. So Murno made a bit of a dive from quite a way back into the final corner, but he has made it stick with only minor contact, and Sweezy goes onto the gravel at the old hairpin there. He's pushing a little bit hard, and now he's got Schluter all over the back of the cell spot machine.
May I add that Murno looked a bit out of regulation there with that move, because he went to the right of the track as a first move, and then he did a second move to react to Amin. So it might be, unless the rulebook says that you're allowed more than one move on the straight.
Well, there's not been a whole lot of stewarding for the Winter Series because we thought it would save us a bit of time. But here comes Schluter up the inside of Sweezy into the Melbourne hairpin. He's got the line. Is he got enough alongside? Yes, he is. And Sweezy has to reluctantly give way to the reigning champion now, as Schluter does a little bit of defending, but not overly so. And now Sweezy, it's a case of can he hold on to the podium, because Braxok is continuing to set 121.8s behind them and is almost within range of the Tunisian. As we look at Ron Squire, 49 seconds off the lead, trying to stay on the lead lap here, and his lap times are in the 1:31s at the present moment, as here's a replay of Branfarm, who's caught back up to David O'Reilly, got back up the inside, tried to make a bit of a marginal move there, and I think locked up a bit, which hurt his exit. Another attempt into Goddard's. Position himself all the way to the outside, tries to cut underneath, but he's a little bit too far back, and I think he's setting up the move into Redgate here on the Lotus livery, the 7 Arrows car. Dives up the inside at the last possible moment, just like we saw David O'Reilly do early on. O'Reilly is forced wide, Branfarm back up into 5th position there. So some good racing between the two, and good to see them keeping it clean after the big moment earlier on.
To Squire. Oh,
well, that would be why his lap times are struggling at a bit of half spin. Just a little bit too loud on the throttle pedal coming out of the hairpin there. Oh, here comes Braxok. He's trying to go around the outside of Sweezy, coming up towards the final corner at Goddard's. Sweezy goes up the inside and holds on to the position. So Braxok tried to cut underneath, and that's actually hurt his exit slightly, if anything. As we see Schluter continuing to set purple times in second position, right behind Lucas Murno by about a second now, and he gained almost half a second on that previous lap there. It was 121.3 versus 121.8 for Murno ahead of him. Murno, though, slightly faster by 0.02 of a second, setting the purple time in the first sector there. So Murno is pulling out all the stops to try and prevent Mark Schluter stealing the win at the last gasp from an optimal driver for the second race in a row.
Oh my god, I mean, honestly, what happened, also, returning a bit back, what happened to Ron Square was exactly what I was saying in race 1. If you press slightly too much the throttle there on down uphill, you're just gone. The car just goes, you don't catch it anymore. Ooh.
ECS 44 SimRacing says in the chat, I will pay $5 to Lucas Murno if he wins the second race. So there we go. Certainly with the championship over, somebody trying to up the stakes there, as we see Sweezy defending actually very, very admirably against Janos Braxok here, a man who's won a race in the World Championship, who's won the Winter Series before. And I mean, Sweezy is absolutely holding his own right now in this 4th place battle, and it's really costing Braxok any chances of fighting for victory. But he could still yet finish on the podium, of course. He's got the pace to do so. As we cut back to Schluter versus Murno. Schluter faster in that second sector, 31.1 by about 0.3 of a second, and only slightly slower in the final sector. So the gap 1 second exactly now, as they are on lap 9 with 3.5 minutes left to go. So Schluter, it's again a similar situation with Braxok. He's running out of time here.
In just 3 laps with two left of racing, so if Mark pulls the same thing that he pulled on Braxok in the feature race, we might see a Mark Schluter sweep of the Donington weekend.
The other thing is, as well, is that Murno will know exactly what happened to Braxok on the final lap. He'll be wise to that on this occasion. So Mark Schluter knows it's going to be difficult to make lightning strike twice and steal the win at the final corner again. So he might have to force the issue a little bit more than otherwise. And we see Murno just starting to defend at the apex very aggressively there, and that might compromise his exit slightly as the gap half a second between the two, and you can see Murno is staring more his rear view mirrors than the circuit, and the rear tires are starting to get away from him here.
Yeah, he needs to avoid to do the mistake that Braxock did in the first race of defending when Mark didn't send it. So that's mainly what costed him. So he needs to avoid it. Will he send it here? No.
Into
okay.
the old
He's
hairpin seems unlikely, and a better exit, actually slightly better exit from Murno, who's really risking it. 2 minutes left to go, so we could be on the penultimate lap here, depending on when the timer counts down. And Schluter, as maybe knows, he's got this half a lap and then one more to make the move. I mean, Sweezy's starting to pull just those crucial tenths away from Janos Braxock here, and I think despite losing the first two positions, Sweezy has had probably his best drive of the Winter Series so far. He has definitely been one of the standout stars of it. And he's looking to finish in the top five. Oh, mistake from Murno coming out of the Fogarty S's, and that was all Schluter needed to take the lead. He's just got to hold on for 90 seconds more. Murno late on the brakes of the Melbourne hairpin, but the lead is gone, and it's going to take an almighty performance here to steal it back.
Yeah, that's the mistake that Mark needed, honestly. He even needed an even lighter mistake to gain the position on Murno, but
I'd love to see what happened to Murno there. I think Lucas maybe just got it wrong on the exit there. Let's have a see.
Got it wrong. Yeah, I got it wrong on the chicane.
There we go.
Okay.
So Murno, does he brake a bit too late? There we go. It's the middle of the corner there, where he just sort of almost misses the apex and curb, and then has to get a bit sideways to correct it, and ends up going wide then. So they are on the final lap at the present moment. Schluter leads Murno by 3/10. Yeah, there we go. He just got a little bit out of rhythm, went a bit wide, got sort of skateboarded onto the curb, and that was all it took to see the wind slip between his fingers.
I mean, honestly, unlucky for Murno because that looked pretty promising. But now we're looking at the main, if I can say, main focus. Amir getting his first podium if he can keep the position to.
It's very true.
Braxock.
He's hold on for, I think, a lot longer than many people thought. Braxock makes a mistake, goes over the curb, the rear end gets out of him. 8 seconds left to go in the race, so we are about to see Mark Schluter take victory here, and really this is exactly the way that the reigning FSR World Champion and the new Winter Series Champion would want to end things. There we go. Once again, stealing the lead late in the day. Mark Schluter makes it 2 in a row at Donington Park there. In fact, it's 3 in a row in the Winter Series. He's ended the season in spectacular fashion. Murno finishes second, but Sweezy gets his first ever FSR podium in P3 with a fantastic defensive drive to hold back Janos Braxock, a man with so many FSR World Championship podiums and a win to his name. So that is a huge, huge feather in the cap for Amir Sweezy then. Dana Bramfom, after a tricky first lap, recovers to 5th. O'Reilly comes home in P6, and Ron Squire, after reverse grid pole position, he is, I think, just about going to stay on the lead lap, which is certainly, by his standards, a huge achievement, and that's going to give him another P7. Sadly, no better than where he finished in race 1, but nonetheless, I think Ron can feel he did about, other than completely fluffing the start, and maybe that was him just playing it safe on purpose to let everyone through. I don't know, but either way, it
I don't
worked.
know if it was that safe though.
No, I think maybe he wouldn't have wanted to play it quite that safe. I think he would rather have tried to hold on to the lead at least for a couple of corners. But he's just going to come through and finish now. About 75 seconds off the... 61 seconds, I think, off the lead, sorry. But nonetheless, that is a final finisher of the race and of the season then. So yeah, Ron Squire getting plenty of airtime, which for our highlights editor, who's usually editing other people's races, we should give him and the Squire Nation's eSports team a bit of a shout out as well, because we always loved having their support. So that's the end of the reverse grid race, and Mark Schluter, we did expect Mark Schluter to be the favourite for the championship, but I think even we were surprised by the standard of performances there in terms of his amazing comeback in both races, really, to take victory. Lucas Murno just missing out with that one mistake right at the end. But nonetheless, he gets another podium to his name. And Amir Sweezy, who led the early phases after jumping past into the lead at the start, holds on to P3 with a very, very well-judged defensive drive against Hungary's very own János Braxok, who finishes P4. Dano Branfom is 5th, David O'Reilly 6th, and Ron Squire still on the lead lap in P7. So,
honestly,
let's give your thoughts.
honestly, today Mark showed the superior pace out of everyone, with both races being the proof of it. Obviously, very nice attempt by Janos, and also congratulations to Amin for his first podium. Also big points for David O'Reilly, who jumps Rowan Machete, but just 1 point behind Loic.
Oh, well, Loic will love that. Damage limitation at its finest. But let's confirm then the final top 10 order. As you see, Mark Schluter ends the championship. 3 races, he ends it just 9 points shy of 100, but on 91, 30 nearly over 20 points clear of János Braxok in the end on 69 points. Nice. Dano Branfom finishes on 58 points in 3rd for Valet. Then it is Amir Sweezy for Cellspot that takes P4. So it's 4 different teams that submit the drivers that finish in the top 4. Amir Sweezy, of course, with that podium in the final race on 43 points, just 2 ahead of Lucas Murno. Murno, who missed, of course, the races at Laguna Seca, doing very well to finish in the top 5 ahead of Alex Laho, who, of course, dominated the opening event at Zandvoort. Ruben van den Hudding is P7 ahead, as you say, of Loic Moynier for MV Conquest. David O'Reilly, who competed every race this season, gets up to P9, just 2 ahead of Ruben Machete, who did not have an awful lot of luck, but did get at least 1 podium to his name. And I believe Mark Schluter has agreed to do a very, very short interview with us as the new Winter Series champion. So let's drag him in and hear what he has to say. We're joined now by not just the reigning FSR World Champion, but our new Winter Series champion, Mark Schluter, who certainly put in a spectacular comeback performance in both races, it must be said, winning race 1 with a move on János Braxok at the final corner of the race, and then also passing Lucas Murno for victory late on in the reverse grid race. So, Mark, you certainly didn't make it easy for yourself. A fantastic pole lap, and then not the greatest start to the race, and all sorts of drama. Talk us through it.
Yeah, quality was fine. I didn't expect, since I barely drive this track, that the lights go out instantly. So I was a bit caught off guard. So that's why I lost all the positions, and then had a snap end of lap 1. So. To be honest, I think Janos deserved to win that race, but yeah, didn't think he would do that mistake in the last corner.
Yeah, we didn't either, so it was quite surprising to us. Any thoughts on the sprint? A slightly more straightforward in that you passed Lucas on the penultimate lap, but again, it was just a case of staying out of trouble, picking them off one by one, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Was hoping that Janos came by Sweezy a bit easier, so we have a freeway battle, because I mean, with 7 drivers, it was, I think, the worst race of this mini series, because I think there would have been way more fun with like 20 people like the first 2 races.
Yeah, I think it was just a bad weekend in terms of clashing with Sim Formula Europe. But yeah, nonetheless, hopefully attendance will be back to a little bit more to normal for the World Championship and its support categories as well when we get started in March. And you'll be very glad to know, Mark, I'm sure you realize this already, but of course you will have free entry, not just as the World Champion, but also as the Winter Series Champion then. So you won't be out of pocket, let's put it this way, entering to try and retain your title. Are you excited about it? We know obviously you've been looking for a new team to drive for.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I guess my main focus, I think, will still lie in the new Super League season, but
Ooh.
yeah.
Well, of course,
I think I think I will try to defend my title this year.
Excellent. Well, we've loved having you, Mark. Some spectacular driving on your half, not just in this Winter Series Championship, but all throughout 2025. And in all your racing endeavors, we wish you the best of luck for 2026, or the rest of 2026, I should say. And thanks for putting on an amazing show. You're always a pleasure to watch, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
Great, Mark.
Right. I was going to give Layla a question, but I think we'll let Mark go because he wanted the short interview.
Yeah.
So we've also got Janos Braxok, I think, who's waiting to talk to us. So let's go have a brief chat with him. Obviously, he'll be a little bit more disappointed having finished 2nd and 4th today and being the runner-up in the Winter Series. So we are now joined by the man, the myth, the one and only Janos Braxok. Janos, it started so well in that feature, and heartbreak right at the end as one little mistake cost you them. We had just heard from Mark that he felt you deserved to win that feature race. And then you ended up having a great fight in the sprint as well with Amir Sweezy, who just beat you to that his first podium, of course, in FSR period. So of course, I see a great result for him. But it was a day of really what could have been today, especially after it started so well.
I mean, it was good. I mean, the whole series to prepare for the main season. We had a good car for the first round at Zandvoort, but I did some mistake in the beginning of the races. Laguna was okay. I don't want to talk about the feature race. Yeah, a lot of controversy, but for today, Mark had overpaced the whole field, so no chance for P1. I was surprised at the end, but yeah, I did a minor mistake, which was enough for him to grab P1, but I was really satisfied with the P2 overall. So yeah, congratulations to him, and of course to the whole series as well. It was fun to drive. Yeah, overall.
It was certainly fun to watch, Janos. You were certainly always one to watch throughout the entire Winter Series championship. Are you excited for the main series then? Obviously, you got your first World Championship victory under your belt, and we know how much that means to you. Do you think it's going to be possible to get a few more in 2026?
Absolutely. Well, I think every driver in overall in all platforms claim that the first victory is always a special one. And yeah, I feel it that I have no pressure for the new season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continue. But I'm not sure if I can finish the season. We'll see at the summer. But yeah, I'm looking forward to catch Mark. Yeah, of course.
Maybe I'll need to be some sort of super sub for any races you might have to miss. But anyway, thank you very much for talking to us, Janos. Layla, do you have a question for Janos before we let him go?
Yes, I do. Janos, through the feature race today, when you saw Mark catching up and you were seeing the gap go down, what was in your head?
I'm realizing that I'm in trouble at the last corner, basically. I'm watching the data and you know, that's Mark, of course. But yeah, I just missed the braking, and yeah, I let through him. It is what it is. I didn't have the pace for P1. I got luck for the feature, but yeah, he did absolutely great. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it was a great performance either way by you. If I may so much say,
Yeah.
if I may so much, okay, you get it.
It was stable, but just not enough today. It was his day.
Absolutely fair, Janos. But thank you very much for talking to us, and we always appreciate your time and indeed watching your fantastic driving. So best of luck for the rest of 2026, and yeah, hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, we'll see you guys, and thank you very much for the series as well.
No worries. Right, speaking of the series, let's move on to the man who was very much the driving force in making this happen, and he's been participating in it, and of course finished in the top 9 That is Mr. David O'Reilly. There we go. We got David in now. So David O'Reilly joins us now after finishing 2 career best P6s. Obviously, there's a little bit of reduced field to help with that, but yeah, some exciting times out there, David, especially in that sprint race with you briefly running on the front row and defending second position. Obviously, a big dramatic moment where you and Lucas Murner made a bit of contact. You went sideways and Dano Brownform took to the gravel to avoid you before repassing you later on. So certainly you had a lot of you were right in the thick of the action in that second race.
Yeah, I figured I've got to make them earn it. I've got to make them. I didn't think I was going to go 15 minutes without getting past, but I thought, I'm not getting lapped, so I don't have to get out of the way. So I did want to make them earn it. So that was really good fun, and for me, that's one of the great pleasures of this series. Is I don't normally get to race the top level guys. I'm usually in Division 2 or Division 3. So just to be on track with these guys, you learn so much every time, even if it's them blowing your doors off. You just get to see up close what's happening and push yourself more and more. And in that second race, that's the closest I've ever been to in lap time to a World Championship winning driver. I think I was 1.6 seconds difference on fastest lap of the race. And I've never been that close to a WC winning driver. So it was a real pleasure for me. And I just want to especially thank everybody who turned up to all 3 races, and for the World Championship drivers for giving us the opportunity to be on track with them. It was a real pleasure, and I really enjoyed the racing. And I think Donington suited the car nicely as well. So, and thank you to the people who ran the stream, Amir, Edward, and of course thank you Thomas for running everything in the background, all the admin side, and making sure we could race. So that was all. It was a real pleasure, and thanks very much for everything.
Ah, that's nice of you to say, David. And I think we should thank you as well, because you, as I keep saying, you were a driving force behind the idea for the Winter Series and us doing it in the first place. So it wasn't just done so for your benefit, so you could drive against top guys as well. But it was nice that we've been able to introduce and have a few people who haven't done FSR in a while come back as well through the Winter Series. So it was a good idea. Would have loved to have a few more people in the final race, but nonetheless, everybody that is there put on a fantastic show, including yourself. And you were absolutely right. Mark Schluter, 1 minute 21.394, his best lap. Your lap, 122.715, which is about 1.4 seconds slower. So you absolutely did excel yourself in that final showing.
Yeah, exactly, and kind of hung on to the pack almost in the 30-minute race too. Didn't get dropped anyway too badly. So thank you very much, and I won't take any more of your time, and look forward to the season proper starting in March. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I'm definitely looking forward to it, as well as I'm sure many of our viewers and and competitors as well. But speaking of which, let's talk to the man who edits the video highlights for that, who not got his best finish today and stayed on the lead lap in that final race. Let's finish things off with an interview with the one, the only, Ron Squire. So Ron Squire joins us now. Ron, I know your Twitch channel, I recorded a alert for you, which says Squire's on fire. Was Squire on fire today? Because certainly in that first race, there was a little bit of a controversial moment with Mark, which I know wasn't intentional from you whatsoever, but it certainly made his victory a little bit more difficult than it otherwise would have been, which is great for the broadcast, so I can't complain. And then in that second race, whilst you very much didn't go anywhere when the lights went out, I think it's fair to say, because 6 cars went past you and you went from first to last in the space of about a second. You nonetheless stayed on the lead lap, and your pace was significantly improved from race 1. I think your best lap 127.1, which was about 6 seconds off, just under 6 seconds off Mark Schluter's fastest lap. But nonetheless, it was a better showing, is what I'm saying.
yeah, it was definitely a better show, because the first race, just in the incident with Mark, what happened was I had virtually no grip coming out of turn 1. Turn 1's been the bane of my life for the first, whilst at Donington, and then when I was letting the lead drivers through, I lost grip, and coupled with virtually no room, we're trying to trying to let through Mark. I've accidentally just like veered into him, and again, I apologise to Mark for what happened there. In terms of the race 2 star, now before I actually went on to the second race, I knew there was going to be a risk of me being on pole. And when I saw the chat, I was like, okay, I'm definitely screwed. I'm definitely screwed. I thought I was gonna be rammed. Thankfully, there was no ramming involved, but I was still like literally first to last in split seconds. You wouldn't believe it. But it was an utter miracle that I managed to keep it on the lead lap despite a few spins every now and again. But I just managed to keep it on the track, kept it on the black step, and I definitely class Donington as my best race compared to Zandvoort. It was definitely a great experience. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend Laguna Seca for fatigue reasons, but though Donington has definitely been my best races so far from this Winter Series.
Well, you put so much drama into the highlights that you edit, and we're very proud to have that. And you put a lot of drama into the intentionally or otherwise into the Winter Series. So we're very grateful for that too. And you've been a brilliant personality. You've done a lot of promotion for it through all your social media and your TikTok channel of you driving around.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're going to get another well-edited video of all your adventures today.
Yeah, you'll definitely get a well-edited video today. But unfortunately, no TikTok stream today because of what happened back at Zandvoort. I'm not willing to repeat that, mainly because there was like during the stream there was like a capture thing that you have to like put in to try and make sure that you're still streaming, which is not a good thing from TikTok either way, but still
it's not the easiest when you're driving to do a capture test.
And the main reason why I spun off in one of the races is, or maybe during qualifying, simple factor is I was being delivered food. I still have it. I got haggis.
Wow. Okay. Wow. The glorious jet set life of the SimRacing driver.
Nothing beats a Squire 2 holiday.
Well, we can confirm now Ron Squire is most definitely on fire. If not before, certainly after eating the haggis. But anyway, it's lovely to chat with you, Ron, as always. Thank you very much for being a part of the Winter Series. And I look forward to working with you again in the rest of 2026.
It's going to be an experience.
That's a good choice of words. Anyway, that really puts the curtain down. Layla, do you have any final thoughts before we end the broadcast on the Winter Series? It's been really fun, and we've enjoyed having you along to help me talk it through it.
For the last 2 rounds that I commented, which were Laguna Seca and Donington, I've seen a lot of great fighting between drivers, so congratulations to them all. I was hoping to see Alex Leroux, but I guess not. Especially after that round 1, which was pretty much a great race from him, but obviously congratulations to everyone who raced, and we hope to see you in 2026 for the rest of the FSR championships.
Yeah, and indeed, if you're watching this and you want to take part, we're going to open the sign-ups hopefully within about a week's time, as we just get everything together on our forums. And we'll also have a page on our sponsor Grid Finder for the 2026 World Championship and its support categories in Pro and Academy as well. So make sure to check those out. But I've been Edward Hunter. Thank you very much to you, Layla, for joining me, and indeed to Amir for running the broadcast, and to everybody else that's made the Winter Series so much fun. And hopefully we're going to go on to a bigger, better, even more entertaining 2026 season, which gets underway provisionally at the moment on the 1st of March. So we hope to see you there. Thank you very much for joining us throughout the Winter Series if you have been watching. Good night for now, and we'll see you soon.